Today we are trying to think about how do I set my standards for dating. And number one way in which you can set the following 8 standards is, number one, you can set a standard that I will save sex for marriage. And at times this may be different in many people, because at times the world and many teenagers, allow me to use the word teenagers as an example, find themselves involved in many relationships, and at times this relationship fail, and even before you heal from one relationship, you jump into another relationship, and at times you form so many romantic relationships, and at times you think, yes, it's not going to affect me now, but later on when you try and settle down, you find yourself thinking and going through that process. So that one standard can be, I will save sex for marriage. Number two is, I will learn to say no. No is an answer, and assertiveness is a skill that you can start practicing now. Number three standard is, I will learn to be content as a single person. And singlehood is good. Singlehood is a season that you have to enjoy, and you need to enjoy at the very best. Also, number four is a standard that I will guard my heart. And at times we are not keen to guard our hearts, and we allow so many things to get into our hearts, but allowing yourself and setting a standard that I will guard my heart is very important. And number five is, I will only date a person who I know what they believe. Because at times beliefs are actually very good. And in this case, even being more specific and saying, I will only date a God-fearing person. Because when someone fears God, they are going to do things that are in line with what he says. And number six is, I will seriously consider courtship. And courtship, that is starting the dating process with an end in mind. And at times if you don't see an end with the person you're getting into a friendship with, then that's also a time to practice saying no to that. Number seven is also important to set a standard that I will put my future in God's hands. At times we put our future in people, we put our future in the society, we put our future in the families, but when you put your future in God's hands, you are at a better place. And last but not least standard is, I want God's will for my life. And at times we ask ourselves, how do I know that this is the will of God? How do I know that this is the right person he wants me to be? That also now goes deeper into asking yourself, are you really also working on the relationship you want to have with God, so that when that time comes and he's trying to communicate to you, you're going to know that he's doing that. So reading his word, getting connected into where he's working so that you can also learn more from him, is also an important aspect for you to do that. So these are just some of the standards. You may not follow all of them, but you can pick those that you feel will apply to you. And I'd like to end this episode by saying the following: until you are ready for marriage, you will not be involved in a lot of pointless romantic relationships. And that again goes back to answer and the question that we often ask, when do I know that this is the right time to date? And if you are not ready to commit, if you are not ready for the responsibility that will come with that relationship, do not break your heart. Do not get into pointless romantic relationships. So remember to just guard your heart with a lot of passion. Remember to work on yourself even during this period of singlehood. And last but not least, do not succumb to the pressures that the society is giving you. Do not succumb to the pressures that your friends are going to give you. But learn to just know that this is what I want for my life, and this is when I intend to get into this. So remember to check out and watch out for the next episodes of Relationship Thursday, and thank you for tuning in to these episodes.